I find it funny that everywhere I look I see Hostgator and Bluehost take up top spots in every single best web hosting list on Google search, as well as various videos here on YouTube swear by these providers.
So if you're asking me, I would definitely recommend Bluehost.
And constantly recommend them.
Is Bluehost good in 2024? Yes.
Is Hostgator good as a hosting provider? Yes, it is.
But if I check real people experiences, for example, Redditors avoid these providers like the plague, and there's a huge chunk of 1-star reviews on Trustpilot. So I've bought plans for both providers myself, and I decided to make my own conclusions. Here's what I found. Immediately, I can see where the portion of the hate is coming from. See, both providers use dark patterns to trap customers into paying for stuff they don't need, like having these boxes already ticked for additional services that cost the same as the whole rest of the plan. And I mean, this is garbage. You don't need this stuff. What you do need, however, is an SSL certificate to encrypt your website. That's pretty much 100% mandatory for any website. And Hostgator knows that because they charge a ridiculous price for their SSL certificates, while every other web hosting provider offers them for free. Because they are free. I don't know why Hostgator is charging you money for basically a free product. Bluehost isn't too innocent either, as it throws obnoxious ads in your face trying to sell you their e-commerce tools or anything else they want to push out at the time when you're ordering a new plan. Oh, and only every single time you log into your account, you basically have to skip an ad for a service you already paid for. And weirdly, the same exact thing happens with Hostgator. And wait a minute, don't these two login screens look the same to you? I mean, like exactly the same. It's like someone didn't even bother changing colors and just slapped on a different logo. Anyways, I've decided to create two identical websites that are quite heavy on pictures, pages, animations, and even videos. Basically something a real person would use. I've hosted one on Hostgator and one on Bluehost. Then I ran some speed tests to see how well my websites perform. Frankly, both results were equally bad. Hostgator loaded my website in 3.6 seconds and Bluehost did it in 3.7 seconds. While the results seem identical, for our purposes, it isn't. Because we're mostly interested in this TTFB value. It shows how fast a web hosting server responded and is the best result for gauging how fast a web hosting server is. Bluehost basically took a full second to respond. That means just 1 second of waiting around before anything happens. Hostgator did it much faster, in 0.4 seconds, but then completely fell apart after that, so the end result was the same for both providers. But why is this a bad result? Well, Google recommends your site loads in less than 2 seconds on desktop and 1 second on mobile. Both providers will struggle with this if you're hosting more than just one page of simple text. But based on the data, you do get a slightly better server by choosing Hostgator. And it kinda makes sense. Bluehost is the cheaper option out of the two, coming in at $295 a month or $35 a year, and Hostgator is a lot more expensive, for $95 a month or $60 a year. However, this is for your first purchase only. Web hosting is a subscription service, and once it's time to renew, the prices jump up to $11.99 a month for both providers, spiking your yearly bill to $143. Ouch. If we compare this to other cheap competitors like InterServer, which comes in at $30 for the first year and $84 for the renewal, or Hostinger, which is $35 for your first year and $120 for future renewals, even if you don't use the discount codes that you can find in the description, both Hostgator and Bluehost don't offer that good of a deal, honestly. And these providers eclipse both Hostgator and Bluehost in terms of speed. For comparison, the exact same website was loaded in 0.6 seconds by Hostinger's cheapest plan and 0.8 seconds with InterServer, with the server response time being less than 100 milliseconds, meaning these providers have completely finished loading my test website before Hostgator and Bluehost servers even got the message to start. So this alone would be a clear sign for me to avoid both Bluehost and Hostgator. So why in the world are all of these videos and articles so dead set on saying that they're the best web hosting you can get? Am I just out of touch and missing some critical features? No, these articles are the ones that are wrong. I put on my spy glasses and detective hat and dug deeper. The secret to both of these hosting providers is that they're owned by the same company called EIG. That's why the dashboard is the same, the performance is the same. It's just a logo swap on the same servers. And that wouldn't be a bad thing by itself, but the way EIG works is they find an established web hosting product and they buy it out. Then within a year, they take all of that brand's customers and migrate them to a central platform that's owned by EIG. The cherry on top is that EIG fires entire departments like the support staff and uses their centralized solutions to lower costs. And more importantly, quality. And it doesn't stop with Bluehost or Hostgator. EIG has more sub-brands related to hosting that you might never heard about, all parading as independent companies, creating the illusion of choice. EIG essentially just builds walls in the middle of a door and says, these are completely different entrances, please choose one. This allows them to not care that customers refund, leave, and complain, because usually uninformed, frustrated customers switch to another product owned by EIG without even knowing. So the money still lands in the same pockets, profiting EIG. That's why they don't even bother upgrading servers, providing good support, or advancing the web hosting space in general. Sure, they could spend $5,000 on one server and improve the performance for 50 existing users, or they could spend $5,000 on an influencer and get 1,000 new customers into the slaughterhouse. And spend on influencers they do. EIG companies pay the highest commissions out of any web hosting company for referred customers, so it's much more profitable to promote these. That's why they're ranked #1 and #2 everywhere. Not because they are good, but because they pay good. EIG has been doing this for 27 years. And every time users start catching on to the scheme and their name becomes dragged through the mud too many times, they simply rename the company. In 1997, they were called Bizland, then in 2011, it became EIG, and in 2020, it's called Newfold Digital. The 2020 name change came together with an acquisition. EIG sold its assets for $3 billion. That's how profitable this scheme is. And the new owners swore they're going to focus on customer satisfaction and support. So I contacted their support thinking maybe, just maybe, I got one of the older servers and the test results don't represent their services accurately anymore. Because based on Hostgator ads, you would think the support team are superstars. Just take a look at this.
Problems with your website? You want to hear about my problems?
Welcome to Hostgator. What can I help you with? Is that better? Awesome.
But in reality, the experience is a lot more like this. To sum up the answers from both Bluehost and Hostgator regarding website speed, from our end, it runs fine. We can't help you. So they even refuse to acknowledge that there is a problem. Very classy. Looks like the good old EIG scheme is still in full swing. Every company they own is supported by the same people who don't even have access to your plans, because they are providing support for all of these different companies all at once. Look, here's the Bluehost support window, and here's Hostgator's. Not only the colors and the shapes are the same, but even the first question and buttons are identical. Since I do objective reviews, I wanted to give them another chance to redeem themselves, and I also wanted to dig a little bit deeper. So I wrote them about a more specific problem that a user could have. The solution I got was try again and log out of your account and then log back in again. How the hell is this gonna solve anything? So all in all, expect zero support from both companies. The people you're talking to aren't working for the specific hosting company and they can't access your account to help. They can only answer questions, and that's why they refer to themselves as a level 1 support agent. To sum up, Hostgator and Bluehost are usable, but that's pretty much it. You will only get the bare minimum and you'll pay a premium price for it. The control panel loading speeds are tortoise-like and your website performance won't be much different. Now, would I recommend either provider to you? Absolutely not. In my humble opinion, f EAG, their predatory tactics, and everyone who sells people out to this slaughterhouse. There are better alternatives that spend less on marketing and more on performance. For example, InterServer, A2 Hosting, or even Hostinger offers 5 times the performance that Hostgator or Bluehost is capable to deliver for the same or even lower price. So it's quite funny to see captions like this out in the wild. The moral of the story is don't trust everything you see on the internet. Like, don't even trust me. Do your own research, and I did my best to provide you with the tools to do so. I publicly host websites on various web hosting plans that I own that you can find on uptime.Emit.Reviews.com. So do your own testing and see what you like the best, what performs the best any given month. And if you're looking for some cheap web hosting solutions to replace Hostgator or Bluehost, check out this video where I basically showcase exactly that. Good luck hosting your websites, and I'll see you around.